Actually, I was pretty excited about the whole merger between like FOS and FASS.
There is
I
no
was
merger.
really...
Can you all please stop using the
I'm
word?
sorry.
Welcome to another episode of Humcast. So maybe let me have the students introduce themselves first. Joseph, you want to go first?
Hi guys, I'm Joseph, year one, pol science.
Political science. Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Jingyi, year one, pol science as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Xin Ni. I'm the only one who's not doing pol science here. I'm doing psychology.
Maybe the three of you can say a little bit more about your own background. And of course, the other part of the question is, what expectations do you have coming into NUS, right?
Okay, so back in JC, I was from the humanities stream. I would say that I take a fair bit of interest in both the humanities and sciences. So I wasn't just, I want to do humanities and only humanities. So actually, I was pretty excited about the whole merger between like FOS and FASS.
There is no merger. Can you all please stop using the
I'm
word?
sorry. Okay, cut. Okay.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I was really excited about
CHS.
College of Human CHS, yes. Yeah, and the module. So when I actually first learned that I was doing like human condition and Asian interconnections, I was like genuinely excited. You know, it sounded really, really interesting, and I was quite eager to learn more. I had the ambition to become a clinical psychologist since I was like Sec 3. I was quite set on doing psychology already, then later on specializing in clinical psych. This whole college experience to me, in a way, it takes me a step closer to my ambition. So I'm looking forward to like my next 4 years in college because I can finally do what I want to do as compared to JC when we had to take like, you know, subjects that didn't really like relate much to our future careers in a way. So
actually, I'm curious about
the
that.
university is very exciting. Yeah.
Let me just catch up a little bit on that. You didn't think that your JC curriculum relates to your future career? Can you give me like one or two examples?
Not so. Okay, because I took quite an unusual combination. I took China Studies and Chinese, econs, literature, what else? Math, and of course GP and PW. So in that way, CSC with China Studies and Chinese like didn't really quite correlate to my passion of clinical psych. Lit a little, I guess, like you know, from discussing different perspectives, being curious about linguistics in general. Math also didn't really quite relate to sorry, Prof Loy. What's the expression?
You can't do psychology without math. You had to do, you end up doing quite a bit of statistics. Don't forget that,
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, but you know, in the long run, because like I imagine myself to be a clinical psychologist that sits in like a hospital to like talk to patients and stuff. So at that point in time, it didn't really seem quite exactly related. Oh, but the point is, university to me is quite exciting, and I really look forward to studying more about psychology, like genuinely. Yeah.
That's wonderful. But I really am a little bit, I wouldn't say disappointed is the right word. I'll say that I think we probably should try to help our JC students understand the long-term development of themselves a bit better, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't believe that the things you study, even in China studies and all that, won't matter to you. I think they will matter to you. It's just that it's not so obvious and not immediate, that's all. Yeah. What about you, Joseph? A bit more about your background and your expectations coming into NUS. Yeah.
Okay, wow. So the thing is, I was actually a science student back in JC. Maybe even before JC, like in secondary school, I was like this super in-depth when it came to sciences, especially physics. I loved physics back in the day. And I actually wanted to be a particle physicist. When I went to JC, what happened was that I got introduced to my CCA called Model UN. And that kind of brought me to this realm of like international relations and like foreign relations. And I'm just like, and it really changed my perspective on what I want to do. Yeah, so basically ever since JC and even in Army, I was thinking about doing IR related stuff. But, you know, in the course of my, research and talking to diplomatic officers, I realized that actually I don't need to do pol science.
Right.
Any degree works. Like Prof Loy, I remember you also told me that in 2019 about that. But the thing is that in Army, like I realized there's a lot of stuff that kind of interested me a lot. Like for example, understanding people like Nazis, like why did they make the decisions they make, or like why did Stalin make the decision he make? So to really get into that thing, that thought process, stuff like political theory, like Marx and all those kind of people, stood out to me, and so I just want to learn more about them. Yeah, that's it for the background. As for the expectation coming into university, it's mostly to learn new things, because I don't believe that learning is kind of limited to just the classroom, because what you learn, in my belief, should also be applicable to like your daily life in terms of understanding the interactions between people and even things like culture and religion. So that's what I hope to gain out of, but also at the same time, can get like A's and stuff. Amen. So
That's legit. That is definitely legit. No, thanks very much for that. And I'm actually quite impressed by the fact that wanted to be a particle scientist.
particle physicist.
Particle physicist, sorry. There's one of our teaching team members, Nicholas. When he first came to university, that was originally his intention. He wanted to do physics. Jingyi, what about you?
Quite similar to Joseph. I was a science student back in secondary school and JC. Oh my god, worst decision ever. I hated it so much. But I just hated chem so much. Like, I did not understand anything. And but I hate physics more than chem, which is why I did bio. Yeah. And yeah, my combination was bio, chem, math, and this like super, super niche subject, Chinese lit. So actually, right, like I was offered to study Chinese literature in Peking University, but due to COVID, I had to like say bye-bye. Okay, for me, why I chose pol science, right? It's not really like Joseph in the sense that I was not like super into like other political theories like Marxism and all. I was just like very interested in actually China culture. Like I really wanted to delve into like China politics and like China history. And I feel that in my future years in pol science, I'll probably do comparative politics with a main focus in China. Aspirations for uni is just to like learn new things and like take it step by step. So far the mods are okay, and I hope it's still gonna be okay for next sem. Yeah, but I'm just excited to learn new things.
Yeah, going to China to study Chinese culture, that would be really, really fantastic. But don't drop that as a possibility. When travel becomes possible again, go on exchange, go do something there. Don't downplay the possibility of doing some classes on Chinese studies, for instance.
Yeah, actually, I put it as my second major, but I couldn't take any mods this sem because of the U-Town program. So next sem.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Tembusu, that's why. Cannot like take extra mod.
The day will come now. Anyway, you all know that many of your seniors in NUS actually do more modules than they need to graduate. And since we charge by the semester, we don't charge by the module. It's really up to you. The only limitation is you want to sleep or whatever. It's really that kind of limitation actually. Please don't go crazy, by the way. Please pace yourself and don't just chalk out like 8 modules in the semester. Don't do that, those kinds of things. But if you do more modules, 6 modules in a semester, if you do some modules in the summer, all that is totally legit actually. Thanks very much for sharing. How are you guys doing in the humanities mod?
HSH is a bit tough, actually. Yeah, like the questions are not easy at all, really, and takes quite a lot of analysis. And sometimes I don't even know why I'm wrong until I read the blog post.
Oh, you're supposed to read the blog post, right?
It was supposed to, okay, but the hints do help. So yeah. Okay, for HSH I would say it's like so far the toughest because I don't have like a lit background. So maybe that's why I'm struggling more.
To be fair, I don't think we're thinking of it as a literature thing. It really is university level reading comprehension when you think about it. Yeah, university level words analysis. But if you feel that it's a bit tough, I cannot understand that. In some ways, I think that we underestimate the transition a little bit. Is it because we have taught different kinds of students in the past? Is it because I was teaching a different kind of module? I don't know. It's hard to say. I wasn't necessarily expecting everyone coming in to be able to do certain things, but I'm kind of also discovering certain things that surprised me. Oh, I guess we need to emphasize that a little bit more. Students really didn't know how to catch that. They were catching it less quickly than I was expecting. But there are other things where they caught it more quickly than I expected also. So there will be a lot of calibration as we go along. So your batch is very important to me because you're providing me all the very critical data actually. I can assure you that you shouldn't have to worry about grades. That's the one thing because we definitely calibrate that very carefully. But definitely the experience matters to us too. So if you feel that this is too hard, definitely when the survey comes, please make sure we know what exactly is too hard. Is it the assessment? Is it the readings? Are the readings too long? That's quite important. We need to know these sort of things. I'm not saying that we can change everything or we will change everything because as I said, in our group of students, I won't be doing my job if we just listen to whatever you tell me and then we do, okay? But we need to kind of calibrate what we want, what we think we want to achieve with what the students are capable of doing and what they are telling us about their experience. Thanks for telling me that. When you say something is hard, you are pointing specifically to the quiz, not the group discussion summary, for instance?
No, actually my group is doing quite all right for the group discussion summary. It's mainly the quiz.
I expect everyone to do okay for the group discussion summary, partly because I don't want to use that component for making very, very fine distinctions or ability. I really want to just use it to make sure that everyone is engaging the material and putting in a certain kind of a cognitive effort more than anything else. Xin Ni, what about you? Yeah.
I feel like this may come off as a little too controversial, but I'm actually having a lot of fun in this mod, and I really actually enjoy it. I'm looking at Joseph's reaction right now. But yeah, as in personally I wouldn't say I'm scoring exactly very well in the quiz, but somehow I find it quite enjoyable, reading through and challenging my own thoughts and and trying to figure out what's the correct answer, even though it gets a little frustrating at times, because sometimes all the answers can seem correct from different perspectives, the way you think about it. So that gets a bit frustrating, and what Jingyi said, right? Sometimes you think you're correct, but it turns out to be wrong. So it's oh, am I lacking common sense, or am I not thinking critically? So that's the frustrating part. But I feel when I read the debrief for the quizzes on the blog, it helps me. It sort of guides me to think in sort of the correct direction in a way. Yeah. So the learning of new perspectives, learning new ways of thinking is quite fun, I would say. And my tutorial sessions, discussing as a group is quite fruitful as well. Yeah, and I appreciate the small activity, not small activities, small assessment modes, meme competitions that adds a little bit more spice and fun to the mod.
You know why the meme competition exists?
No.
Can you all guess?
Because you like memes.
Okay, so we want the students to do something that is kind of group based. Actually, we already had a group discussion summary, so technically we don't need another one. But we thought that nonetheless, I hope that students don't treat the GDS too much like hard assessment. Then they work, they kind of get all worried about it and all that. So we want to make sure that there's at least one other component where there really shouldn't be this thing at all. Even though we tell students again and again, please don't overthink the GDS. Please engage with the text, talk to each other. That's what we are trying to get you to do. But some people won't. Somehow they don't believe us. I don't know why. Right? But when the meme competition comes, it's very clear. Look, make us a meme. Make people laugh. Make yourself laugh. Come on. If you're not having fun out of this, come on, what are you doing, right? Make your tutor laugh. Make us laugh, right? You can even say, we're all suffering together. Let's at least have some laughs out of this. But I did really want a group component that is a fun component, something that help you bond a little bit and think of more creative ways to express yourself. Joseph, what about you?
Okay, so how the mod has treated me. Objectively speaking, the mod has treated me quite decently so far. I think when we first started with this mod, a lot of people were excited because they were genuinely kind of curious about stuff like Le Guin's umlauts in terms of wow, what is the author getting at? And it was quite fascinating, to be honest, because I think this whole discussion on morality is something that people want, but they don't really get exposed to, I think, because of their maybe science background, for example. When you kind of go from umlauts to Gandhi to the one that we're doing now, which is Gilgamesh, so we are looking at the progression of the text. The worry is that even when it comes to stuff like Gandhi and eventually Gilgamesh, it's a bit concerning that even now, I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't really fully understand Gandhi's stuff, me included. I'm probably the first guy to I have no idea what he's getting at. Okay, I have some idea what he's getting at, but not the full picture. My point is that it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I have to admit that this really forced me to kind of open up my perspectives, because I shared, during lunch that time, how as being brought up as an Indian, you kind of fed these historical narratives about who the freedom fighters are and what the roles that they have played. But then when you kind of read text like this and you're wow, what you're taught is not fully false, but it's subject to a lot of criticism and a lot of questioning. So overall, yeah, I would say it's good. I would say it's decent. It is very challenging. And honestly, Xin Ni, I have no idea how you're able to find that fun. I'm just going to put it out here on record. Yes, I admit I don't find it fun. And also because when you do the quizzes, you put in a lot of effort, but just for it to be wrong. And then you're whoa, am I able to think straight? Am I dumb? Because obviously not, but it really kind of affects how we choose to look at ourselves. So
hey, thanks for that. I really, really appreciate that. Can I check also with just Jingyi as well? Because Xin Ni, you already said it, but you can also chip in. Do you all find Hind Siraj hard to understand?
Surface level, no. It's hard to understand where Gandhi is coming from. from like his motivations behind writing it.
But we weren't really concerned about his motivation. Right? We're just trying to get his proposal, right?
But then I think it's not that difficult.
Hmm.
I think now, right, with the like streams reading, wow, that one really is very long.
So I am a little bit surprised that sometimes I don't find Hin Siraj very hard to understand at all. It's actually a very simple text, at least to me, right? I'm not, okay, again, I'm not necessarily a good judge of this. You're right in the sense that I don't agree with it. I totally am a denizen of modern civilization. I made my peace with modern civilization long ago. I use electronics and, we are filming ourselves on Zoom and, so I'm not one of those who agree with him. But to say that I don't understand him, no. I know where he's coming from in a certain sense. I just disagree with him, which is a completely different story. And I respect him. I think that he is a worthy mirror that we should hold out to ourselves and say, hey, okay, I want to be able to come back one day with a good rejoinder to you. That's the feeling he gets me. But not understanding him is not what I would feel. At least for me, I don't know. I don't pretend that this will be the same feeling for everyone.
Can I address that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would like to clarify that with regards to the overall arguments of Swaraj, it's relatively straightforward where Gandhi is getting at. I think the issue is that when you really dig deeper and when you try to analyze like these very abstract concepts like spirituality, dharma, adharma, and that gets very, in all honesty, it's not something that I still understand. This is going to be quite irrelevant, but like as part of my Pol Science essay readings, because I'm focusing on nationalism, I do read up a lot on like Hindu nationalists like the RSS and the liberals in India. When I read their scholarship, apparently even they also don't really understand what Gandhi is getting at.
So it's okay, we're in good company.
So it's not a unique problem.
Which is why we have deliberately picked a particular line of entry into Hin Siraj, and we kind of stuck to it, and we have not tried very hard to branch out into all the details, karma, dharma, and all that. We understand that. The people in the team understand sometimes we have to pick a particular entry point and do something with it. And what I want you all to hopefully take it as advice, right? Sometimes we don't have to get everything at one go. I'm very sure that if you reread any of these texts 5 years from now, you will see new things. If you don't, then I'll say shame on you. Okay, yeah. 5 years from now, you have finished your degree, you become a clinical psychologist and all that. You reread this thing, you think to yourself, why did I even think that in those days, right? And this is something that my mentors used to tell me. Loy, I'm going to give you this book, Aristotle, we're going to read it together. And just remember, when you take notes, use pencil, because next time you're going to rub them away. He's totally right about that. We will change our mind. We will learn new things. We will laugh at the earlier versions of ourselves. We have a good laugh. And that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to understand everything now. We want to start. If we don't even start, we don't even get to enjoy the chance where in the future, we get to have those experiences. So, Joseph, hang in there. Okay? You're doing good, right? You're doing totally good. Hang in there. Xin Ni, please. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Prof. Actually, I wanted to ask, what do you think is the reason why, like the older version of ourselves would think differently from the way we think now? Like, why would our ideas change? Why would our opinions change? Is it because of with age comes maturity, or?
I think it's a bit unpredictable, right? I hope that we're all growing intellectually, emotionally, everything. Now, of course, I shouldn't pretend that everything will change. It is completely possible that 5 years from now, 6 years from now, you read and you're kind of getting the same thing. But even so, I hope that you are getting the same thing from a slightly more mature perspective. Because think about it, 5 years from now, what does it mean? It means that you have finished your degree, maybe you are started on a master's, maybe you are doing your clinical master's or something like that. Or maybe Joseph is actually gunning for a job with foreign service or something. I don't know what Jingyi wants to do, right? Maybe she's in China somewhere doing something, right? You have new experiences, right? You have met new people, you have debated with different people. You may have changed your mind about certain things 5 times by then. I don't know. Maybe you haven't. Maybe there are certain things that you feel very strongly about and it stays for the rest of your life. That's also possible and it happens too. But even if in the last scenario, it's actually very unlikely for it to literally be the same. It's not possible. You have seen new things, you have gained a new perspective, even on the very same thing that you continue to hold very dear. In a funny way, it's kind of common sense. No, you just do this thought experiment to yourself. Do you feel like you're the same person today as you were 5 years ago? 5 years ago, what were you all doing? Joseph, what were you doing?
J1.
Yeah, J1. Yeah. Don't forget he's got army.
5 years ago?
Around
J1.
there, or Sec 4 or J1. I can't be bothered to calculate.
Yeah, the two of you will be something like what? Sec 2? I don't know.
Sec 2.
My second daughter is Sec 2 right now. Yeah.
Sec 2, we don't even know anything. It's like we just follow the curriculum given to us. We don't even have any. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. back then.
Think of something that you did think about in those days. And Joseph too, right? 5 years ago, there must be something that you thought about, and ask yourself, do you still have the same thoughts? Even if you still believe the same thing, when you think about it, do you feel like, okay, now I'm older and wiser, I still believe this, but I have a much fuller, deeper, whatever appreciation or understanding or whatever. My suspicion is that this may not apply in every case, but if you do an audit like this, a lot of things will show up that, yeah, I have kind of changed. I'm still me. I still believe many of these things I used to believe, if there are such things at all. But even those things, I feel like I gain a different perspective now. And I'm very sure that Joseph will say that, because in a way you already reviewed that already, right? You went from particle physics all the way, so you actually went through some of this already. So this is not rocket science in a sense. And I fully expect this to continue for the rest of your life. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good thing, right? And I don't think we should be scared of this at all. We should be prepared for it in the sense that when we are still in a position to learn new things, let's do it so that in 5 years' time, we can look back and say that, yeah, I am different now because I have learned new things that stretch me in different ways and that allow me to have these new thoughts that I did not have 5 years ago. And not even talking about like having fancy jobs and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you all will have nice jobs. Okay, please take your career preparation seriously. Vice Dean of Student Life and career preparation talking to you now. Please, okay,
Swaraj is like, in a way, it reminds me of the Bible. I'm not sure if that's an appropriate comparison.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Because like you read it once and then you're like, oh, I think I know it. But then you read it again and then you're like, oh crap, it's a different meaning. And then you're confused, like, wait, what is the correct meaning? Part of the reason I believe is got to do with like what Dr. Suresh mentioned about Gandhi's use of rhetoric. And the problem is that when you try to reconcile rhetoric with objective understanding, like what Gandhi is actually getting at, and that is something that, in all honesty, I admit that I'm still learning how to process.
Very good. So now we're getting deeper into the precise kinds of difficulty. Definitely, we have very good students. In fact, maybe even a good portion of that. I don't know whether the three of you are all readers. We have many students who do read. But in terms of kind of schoolwork, I'm very sure that some students will find this a little bit daunting in the sense that normally they don't have to read something that is this long for something that's a little bit more on the humanities side. So that's something we have to be aware of. Right. So I get that. And we do try our best to make sure that we pick texts that are not overly long. It's not just that it's long, it's rather, I'm afraid that a lot of students treat this a little bit too mechanically. They are trying very hard to understand everything in the first pass, when really the correct thing to do is to skim the whole thing to get a picture and then go back to particular portions to look more carefully at particular things. That is actually much more sensible, actually. But this is a thing that I think students will just have to learn. Jingyi, you want to add something to that? Or you need to go soon?
Yeah, I need to go soon. I have a performance.
If you have to go, don't worry about it. Just go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to go back to Joseph's point about the rhetoric. The other reason why some of these texts are difficult is because most of us, as we are growing up, are not usually exposed to devious texts that are not straightforward. Because most of the things we read for school is meant to be as straightforward as possible in a school level, unless you're doing literature. The writer is not being completely straight with you. The writer is doing something with words to make you, go along. And Omelas is a devious text in that sense. It's a simple one, but it's still pretty...
It's still manageable.
Yeah, because it's short. But those are the kinds of experience I really hope that our students will be able to brag about a little bit. But I hear you. We're going to see what else we can do to scaffold the thing. We are very, very concerned about this. I think that we are already picking up certain kinds of pieces along the way. We'll see. Yeah, you're giving us very important data that we work on.
Actually, that's the reason why I wouldn't, ask you to like remove the text. But I think one thing maybe could be like, is there a way we can kind of like revise how we choose to kind of present it? So like, it's kind of easier for us to get the hang of it, I guess.
All the new ideas I have are in that direction. Okay, now it is possible that we'll switch one or two of the texts. I don't know yet. We haven't decided yet. But right now, most of the effort I'm putting in is, okay, can we rearrange the presentation in a certain way, scaffold in a certain way, pretty much from day one, actually. It's the kind of style that is very, very hard to do in the abstract. You really need to meet actual students and try it, see the feedback. And to me, that's the gold standard. The quizzes. Yes, a lot of pretty careful reading is involved, but notice that no one is asking you to do this for the whole of the Hin Siraj. We just have these passages in the quiz, so just do it there. And in fact, I want to complain. I'm looking at the data coming in. I hope that people don't get all worried, but there are a lot of careless students.
I haven't submitted yet. I just hope it works out.
Good for you. Okay. I'm talking about the people who submitted. There are a lot of careless students.
This problem is I'll probably end up among them, so
My advice really is, this particular one, I don't think we designed it this way, but it turned out that it really is about whether or not you are just being a little bit careful, right? Whether or not you're willing to do the extra step and check the OED on something really is I stare at the thing very hard to make sure that, okay, is there some hidden ambiguity that I'm not spotting that is driving a lot of students to pick this thing rather than that? I think I can't see it. I'm like, I have to say I'm slightly annoyed actually, but it's okay because if everyone does equally badly, no one is hurt. It's all the same.
So easy, the whole cohort should just fail that problem solve.
No, none of you are going to fail.
Maybe you should cut off that part. Oops.
Hey, no one is going to fail because of a quiz. Please, okay? I don't design modules to fail people, and that's just crazy. Let's narrow down to something more specific. What exactly is hard about the quiz?
Wow, what is hard about this quiz? As I shared earlier, I do enjoy the process of doing the quiz. I think it's fun. But what's really hard about it is accepting that it's awfully difficult to score full marks. That's the hard part for me. And I find it really hard to accept it, Prof. I guess we have to adjust our own expectations in that regard. And I do feel that it is difficult, right? Like, given like how Singapore, like, we are also kiasu and we are all like striving to get like that perfect score. It's very hard to overlook the scoring part.
Yeah.
To truly enjoy the learning is something I'm still trying to learn as well.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm so glad that Xin Ni shared that because that is a sentiment a lot of you. Yeah, that's
yeah. Thanks for sharing that. It's not the first time I hear this. I would be very surprised if there isn't a significant portion of the students who feel this way. I'll be quite surprised because there's a part of me that wants to do the tough love thing. I have to tell you, let me put it this way. You guys all made it to NUS already. You are academically pretty strong. No, I'm serious. You made it here. Seriously, it's not that easy to get here. You are here. But it means that you are now in the field where everyone around you can be quite impressive. You now discover that, okay, I made it to this group, but I'm not right at the front of this group. That's okay. We don't always have to be in front of every group. I think that's asking for a lot, right? Heaven has really given us so much that we made it to NUS already, and now we want, we want even that. Don't get me wrong. I think we should always try balance, but sometimes we also need to learn how to slack off, Really, we really need to know how to be a little bit more chill and say that I'll pick my battles and I want to be excellent in this thing. This one, I want to learn, but it's okay. I don't need to be the front of the pack on this one. Our students coming through our school system are way too used to scoring in the 90s. Way too used. They need to get used to a world where 6.12 is normal. Okay? It's nothing to write home about. It's just whatever. Okay? Again, I want to emphasize, right? Seriously, no one needs to fail because of the quiz. I'm serious.
No worries. I was kidding about that.
We work out the mathematics already. We know what we are doing. Okay. Okay. Let's end with the final quick round. Just final question. What else are you looking forward to? In NUS, in CHS, in the module, anything? One short thing, then we'll close really.
I think this might sound like a very PC answer, but I feel like it aligns with the objective of the formation of CHS, which is to really broaden my perspectives on different disciplines. So that is one thing I genuinely look forward to with the CHS mods.
Wow.
Actually.
Yeah. Really happy to hear that.
I hope I don't sound too fake though.
No, I don't think it's not.
But
yeah. I strongly encourage you to definitely make use of the resources that are available here. Yeah, and we're working very hard to create new ones as well. There'll be new higher level interdisciplinary modules that will come out. I'm in the committee that approves this thing. One whole batch just came in today, and we're looking at them and all that. So they are only going to come online next year, the year after, and all that. So there are a lot of new things that's going to happen later as well. So I hope that you'll be able to enjoy and benefit from many of them, right?
I'm actually not sure. Sorry, I haven't actually planned this out well.
No, it's fine. I mean, we don't always have a clear vision of the future. I think in some sense it's very realistic. If you ask me, when I was a year one student in the middle of the year, what do I look forward to? I would probably have the same answer as Joseph. I'll still be like, I just came out of the army, don't ask me these sort of things.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's just more like being exposed to new stuff.
Everyone is actually working quite consciously about finding ways to make things better. That way I can assure you. So everyone is very, very keen on trying to get as much data as possible to make this better as soon as possible. Okay, thanks so much for sharing this with me. It's really fun talking to you guys. You all should know that I love talking to students, so that's not an issue.
Thank you, Prof, for the opportunity.
Thanks, Prof.
Yeah, thanks very much. I hope that other students who get to listen to this will benefit from what we talked about. All the best and have a good evening, okay?
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you so much, Prof.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye, Prof.
Yeah, take care.
Bye, Xin Ni.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Joseph.
Bye.
Good to
Bye,
see
Prof.
everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.